Up next is UCF and head coach Josh Heupel. The Knights finished their spring practice on April 13th. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. If you just give us an overview of how your spring went and what you're focused on as we continue through the off season, please.
Yeah, just really excited since we came back after the bowl game, start of the second semester here. Just the buy-in to what we're doing inside of our program, the accountability within our locker room and between coaches and players alike, and as much as anything, just a deeper relationship between players and coaches and staff, and that's lended itself to us being at a different level than we were a year ago, which you should be in year two, but lending itself to a really good spring, highly competitive, a lot of positions where there's a lot of competitiveness, for some spots that, maybe we got returners coming back at, but also some guys that we lost from a year ago, and just trying to continue to develop the depth that we need here to again, go after our goals that we have next year. But really like the way that our players grew throughout the 15 practices, much better understanding schematically of what we were doing than we did a year ago. Our kids are playing with better technique because of that as well, and like the direction that our kids are heading in. And they put themselves in a position that we want to be when we finish up this semester after 15 days of spring ball, and now looking forward to the journey as we go through summer when they come back here in late May.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions now for Coach Heupel. Hit star 1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue, then the operator will introduce you.
Our next question comes from Mark Narducci with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hello, Coach. I understand McKenzie isn't playing this year. 2 questions. 1, how is he doing? And 2, how difficult is it for you, because it seems like you have a lot of options at quarterback this year?
Yeah, ever since everything unfolded with KZ at the end of last year, just the injury, him being able to handle it in such a great way. Surgery has gone well. His rehab's going really well. Your heart breaks for him initially with the injury and just with everything that he's got to go through on a daily basis in the rehab process. But he's handling it as well as he possibly can. And excited about the road that he's covered here in a short amount of time since he was able to start the rehab process. He's involved in what we're doing on the field. He's involved in our meeting room every single day. Done a great job of being a sounding board and helping to coach some of the young kids inside of our program at the quarterback position, and brings a lot of insight and on-field experience to the conversations that he has in helping those guys. And, the quarterback room right now, we've got 4 guys that competed extremely hard throughout the spring, competed in a really positive way with each other, though. There was a lot of really good positive energy inside of the room. Excited for the other guy when he made a good play, willing to help him if he could after something that didn't go right as well. And for those guys, there's just so much growth and development that can happen after you finish 15 days of spring ball. Get an opportunity to digest it, come back, and transform yourself into a better player as you go through May, June, and July before we start training camp. So excited to see our kids at that position really compete well through the summer, change their bodies with what we're doing in the weight room, but change also their minds and understanding of what we're doing and what they're going to see on the other side of the ball so that they can play as efficiently as possible. And the guy that understands how to do that is going to be the guy that gets the first crack at it next fall.
So there's no clear-cut guy, right, at this point?
Yeah, we do not have a starter right now. No.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
And our next question comes from Dan Tortor with wakeupcalldt.com.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you.
Just to kind of go off of what you were saying about the quarterbacks, just what that does for you and what type of climate that's built in the spring, knowing that you don't have the incumbent starter and essentially are, looking to find that next leader that's going to move things forward with guys coming from different backgrounds and different situations.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, championship teams, there's a culture that exists. There's a brotherhood, a love for one another, and there's a great accountability. That doesn't just happen from your quarterback. That's a group of guys that collectively transform your football team, and we got a lot of guys that are stepping into those roles, some guys that had it last year that are coming back for us, and I think we do have good leadership from within. Certainly at the quarterback position, the first thing all of those guys got to learn how to do is to learn how to play at a championship level at the quarterback position. Got to earn the trust of having the ball in their hands. As they understand and learn those things, their leadership will grow. They all, should be a great teammate in the way they, set the standard and then hold the standard inside of what we do every single day. But they'll grow into that leadership role. I've been through, quarterback battles in training camp. Every time we've had a new one, I don't think I've ever in my career named the guys as we finished up spring ball because I do believe strongly in how much players can change at quarterback, but at every position inside your program by the time they finish spring ball to when you get them back at training camp. So I want kids to have to earn it and go, prove it as we go through our summer program as well. But I fully expect that, there will be some separation, this summer in the way they approach things mentally and physically, but certainly early in training camp. And at the end of the day, you can't name a guy until he proves, not just to the coaching staff, just as importantly to the players around him, that he's earned the right to be your starting quarterback.
And then just for you, to kind of look across this team and being here for a short amount of time, just what you can say about the culture and just how things have kind of progressed. I mean, obviously there was success before you got there. There's success with you there. And now, you move forward with, some different leadership emerging and whatnot. Just what that's been like through the spring to kind of see this, growing culture at UCF and obviously a culture of success.
Yeah, that's a great thing about college football, and the tough thing too is, essentially a quarter of your roster turns over every single year. So that provides a lot of opportunities to do things on the football field for some guys that maybe didn't have them a year ago. It provides holes where guys can thrust forward and take a step forward in a leadership position, maybe in a different way than they had been previously. And that's the great thing about college football, and excited about culture that we have here. It's not about wins and losses. That's the end result and a product of who and how we approach every day inside of our building. We got coaches that are about real relationships with players that want to impact them for the next 40 years of their life, do it in a really meaningful, powerful way. Because of that, I think our players take coaching extremely well because they understand where our coaches are coming from. We have a great accountability within our locker room. Players being great teammates and holding the guy next to him to the standard. And that provides us the opportunity to go out and compete at a really high level when we take the field each and every Saturday. And at the end of the day, we got to put ourselves in a position to go earn it each and every Saturday, but we're willing to walk through that process. Got a long ways to go before we get to training camp. May, June, and July are going to be extremely critical to what we're going to be next fall.
Well, thank you, Coach, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Take one more for Coach Heupel, please.
And that'll be from Matt Murchell in the Orlando Sentinel.
Hey, Josh, how you doing today?
Doing great.
You talked about during spring about building some of that depth, and after the spring game, you were mentioning maybe the defensive line, wanted to see more of those guys. How much are you counting on maybe some of those incoming freshmen stepping up when they arrive in the summer? Or do you kind of maybe look for maybe some guys maybe in the transfer kind of realm to help out in that position?
Yeah, I think everybody in the country, continues to look to find ways to upgrade their roster. The transfer portal is one of those ways at this point because of, the changes in the legislation. Every school is going to continue, if they need a position of need, junior college recruiting kids that are maybe out right now. And then certainly the guys that you signed in your previous class, what impact they can have, how quickly they can prove that they need to play because they're going to play at the level that you expect your kids to play. They got to go earn it. But certainly all those things are ways that we're trying to continue to upgrade, our football team, our roster, but in particular the defensive line with, the amount of guys that we lost in particular on the interior.
Thanks, Josh. Have a good summer.
Appreciate it.
Coach, appreciate you giving us a few minutes this morning and look forward to seeing you once again in Newport in July.